I scrounge up the money. Thank God. I go and I get my membership with a union. I'm good. Here we go, about to film my role. And then they call me the day before we film and they say, your part's been cut.
No.
Devastating. And at the same time, hilarious.
Welcome to the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast. I am your host, Shawn David Nelson, sometimes known as that Lovesack guy. What problems are you experiencing in your life right now? What are the top 3 issues? What about in your business, your profession, your career? I can think back to this time when we were trying to figure things out at Lovesack. We were hiring experts from these other furniture companies, bringing us all these cool merchandising ideas, got us into, besides, of course, the giant sacks and couches, rugs, lamps, bowls, baskets, decorative accessories, themed seasonal lines. And these were some of the best people in the industry, tremendous experience. And we just failed. Besides the giant sacks and our couches, they were coming up, Sactionals, arrange them, rearrange them. It's like we couldn't sell anything else. We barely sold any rugs. We barely sold any lamps. We barely sold any tables. And this went on for years. And it wouldn't be until a few years of trying and failing that finally we purged all that stuff, figured out how to advertise Sactionals on TV, to the direct consumer model, and the business just exploded, 7x'd itself, from 70 million to 700 million in just a matter of a few years because we did less. And it's like, had we just had even reasonable success at selling all that crap that came from other places, we probably would have stayed on that business model and just kind of grown a little bit every year like any other furniture store in the United States. And instead we are like a standout. My point, sometimes we have to be grateful for the problems we have. At the time, they just seem like problems. They just seem terrible. They might even seem like debilitating and career ending. In our case, like we were failing. We were failing. And it was those problems that actually led us to the solution, ironically, that had our company explode. Same thing in our life. Everyone's got problems. We'll unpack it in this episode. It's so good. We have a guest on who is like, everyone will recognize. She's that girl with that hilarious Nail Salon video, actress, author, podcaster, on tour right now as a stand-up comic. And we break this down. Be grateful for the problems that you have, because as we get into it, both of us have experiencing the no, the maybe years of no's, rejection that makes that yes so much more beautiful when it finally comes. We talk about how hope is a powerful vehicle to push you towards the light at the end of the tunnel, and how to build that hope into faith. Practicing gratitude, because just like sports or anything in life, it gets easier and we can develop muscle memory for doing it. And finally, the idea of doing you and doing you well. All of this with our amazing guest. You're going to love this episode. It's deep, it's poignant, it's vulnerable. Check it out. All right, folks, today's episode is about flipping the script on life's frustrations. And I can't think of a better person to help us do that than today's guest. You will know her as a stand-up powerhouse, viral sensation, and actress. And yes, the original Bon Qui. She's been on Mad TV, Comedy Central, Netflix. But what really sets her apart isn't just her talent for making millions laugh. It's her ability to stay grounded and grateful in the middle of all of it. She's a former NFL cheerleader turned comedy icon, best-selling author, wife, mom, and somebody who truly embodies today's Shawnism. Be thankful for the problems you have, because as you'll hear today, it's all about perspective. So let's get into it. Please welcome to the pod, the one and only Anjelah Johnson-Reyes. Johnson-Reyes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please sit down, relax.
Sit down. All right, Anjelah. So without even thinking too much, when you heard our topic today, be thankful for the problems you have, what's the first thing that came to mind for you?
Oh my gosh. All of the no's that I received in this career, all of the setbacks, all of the things that I thought I wanted that I didn't get, um, all of the moments of time to pack it up and go home, all of those things came flooding back to mind.
Hmm, interesting. And in the context of being grateful for the problems you have, what's your conclusion on all of those things?
There's purpose in it all. And I think when it's really hard when you're in the midst of the problem to look for purpose.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say, like, look for the purpose in your problem. I would say be hopeful for there being purpose in your problem. And then once you get to the other side of it in the light, you begin to see that purpose. You begin to see why this was happening, why this was a no, why all these things fell this way.
Mm.
And as long as your perspective is open and available to purpose, you're more inclined to see it and go down that path of hopefulness, gratitude, and purpose in what you're doing.
Well said. Let me offer one actually. That as you're saying this, one comes to mind that is absolutely poignant to this. A lot of people know the Love Sack story. You know, I started this company as a side hustle in college, whatever. We got this big order, built a factory, and then we completed that order, kind of broke even, had no other customers, and I had to run out and scramble. And all these furniture stores, we had invented like a 8-foot beanbag that you could shrink down to 1/8 its size, ship it UPS, deliver it to someone's home, covers come off, washable. It felt pretty innovative at the time, kind of ridiculous, you know, like giant beanbags, not beanbags full of foam, but people loved them. We knew this. And I made quick appointments with all the big furniture chains around the West because I lived in Utah, ran to RC Willey, owned by Warren Buffett, and was rejected on my butt. Like not interested, stupid idea. Your name sucks. No one wants a logo on their furniture. Like no one wants a giant beanbag. No one's going to pay $1,000 for a giant beanbag, right? Had no other options, got in the truck, drove to Colorado, Denver, even bigger chain. This buyer, you know, we go in there, the sack's all frozen because we had left it in the back of the truck. We didn't realize how cold it would be in Denver on like a October morning. We're trying to get this thing, coax it back to life, you know, like it's shrunken down. We've got this buyer.
I just imagine you in your pitch trying to like show how you sit in it and just goes.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. And this thing comes out of the back of the truck like a raisin. We have to cut the duffel bag with scissors, like it's an amputee patient. And then this buyer who's just told us, like, I purchase $1 million a day in furniture, is on his hands and knees trying to coax this thing to life. Needless to say, man, just summarily rejected. And at the time, of course, I'm like, we're done. Like, I've got this factory, the rent's ticking away. I got this machinery. It's laying dormant. I got all these employees who want to keep working. And when my cousin said, well, let's open our own store, I mean, that just sounded ridiculous. That sounded like the dumbest thing I could possibly think of. I mean, everyone knew like a lease in a mall must be 10,000, 20,000 a month, you know, some crazy number.
Yeah.
For a 24-year-old. And then, by the way, we went to the malls and they rejected us.
Oh,
in fact, yeah, like one of them gave our space that they kind of like, well, maybe we could put you here under the escalator in the corner over by the, you know,
the vending machine.
Yeah, by the vending machine. And then they gave that space to the Christian Science reading room, instead of us. And it was, and so look, obviously someone finally let us in. We opened the first store. It was trending toward 1 million in the first few weeks. We couldn't believe it. It's going to work. A year later, we've got, 30 stores. The rest
Oh.
is history. But like, my point is, when I was in the midst of that,
Mm.
I couldn't possibly have known. I had no inkling
No.
that it was a good thing. Because, by the way, had those guys said yes,
Right.
I'd be wholesaling into these boring furniture stores with some weird, commission driven salespeople trying to not fluff my sacks as they collected dust flat in the corner. And I'm sure we would have failed there.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, you've mentioned these no's that you've received. Like, give us one.
Oh, okay. Um, so you're a dreamer.
Sure.
I'm a dreamer. I moved to Hollywood to try to be an actress, and you got to get in where you fit in. I started as an extra, work my way up as an extra, then I'm a stand-in on a show, and then nothing's happening for me. Um, I go on unemployment, and I don't have an agent at the time getting me auditions. At this point, I'm crashing auditions, which means you hear about an audition that somebody else gets called to, and you're like, well, I could do that. And you just show up at the audition. And especially any of my friends that look like me and they had an audition, I'm like, oh, they're looking for Latinas. Boom. What time is it? 12 o'clock? I'll be there. Come with my headshot and just sign in and sometimes they would tell you no if they knew you're not on the appointment list, you can't audition. And other times you just act like you know what you're doing. You just go in, you sign in, you give them your headshot, and it's like, I'll see you. I'm like, I'm at 1:15. But
Wow.
all right, well, go ahead. Thank you. Whatever. So it's around this time in my life. I don't have an agent. I have nothing going on. And you get random auditions here and there. You hear about whatever. I get this audition. It's during pilot season. It's a very quick, like I think I had 2 lines, and it was a
Mm.
pilot, and this is early 2000s. And it was a Kanye West pilot and a TV show that was going to happen.
Mm.
And his name meant different things back then. So it was very, very cool. A Kanye West pilot. I audition, I book it. Oh my gosh, I book it. It's 2 lines. I'm like, I booked it. Because
Yeah.
you go for something, you try out, there's other people there and they picked you. Oh my
Yeah.
God, validation. I knew it. I'm right for this. This is where I'm supposed to be. So this at the time where it's 2 different unions, SAG and AFTRA. I was SAG. I had my SAG membership. And they're like, okay, this is an AFTRA pilot. It's an AFTRA project. So you have to
Mm.
join the AFTRA union before you can film this project. In order to join the AFTRA union, I had to pay the fee, and it was over $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I have no money. What do you mean? You have to join the union before you can film this role. So now I'm crowdsourcing and I'm calling my dad, cousins, friends, just being like, can I borrow some money? I booked this
Mm.
role. I have to join the union. It's over $1,000, blah, blah, blah. And I start crowdsourcing all this money.
Wow.
Um, and I remember I was crying when I called my dad. He got so pissed at me because he thought like somebody had died or something was wrong. And he was like, don't ever call me crying like that again unless it's an emergency. But then I think he gave me like $50 or something. And I scrounge up the money. Thank God. I go and I get my membership with a union. I'm good. Here we go, about to film my role. And then they call me the day before we film and they say, your part's been cut.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Devastating. And at the same time, hilarious. You're kidding me. After
Right.
all this, everybody I just called, and now I don't even have anything to show for it.
Mm.
I don't even get to say, here's my scene. you know, no way. And I remember at
Wow.
that point, I was, like, devastated, but also, like, it was a real, like, punch in the face that makes you go, like, comical, like, "What?"
Right. It's so bad, you almost have to laugh at some point.
Exactly, exactly, and it was one of those things that, I am so grateful now. In the moment, not grateful, not
Yeah.
excited about this no that I just received, but now, where I'm at now, I'm so grateful for those moments where I was pushed to the limit. I did what I had to do. I made the phone calls. I was brave. I was bold. I called who I needed to call. I was dumb. I called who I needed to call. You know what I mean? The
Yeah, yeah,
audacity you would have to call some of these people and assume that they have
yeah,
a free $50 to give you or something, you know? I'm grateful for those moments where I got to experience um what desperateness, being desperate. Um, and I got to experience that no because it makes the yes more beautiful, more powerful, more fulfilling. So looking back, I have that gratitude. I see the purpose in it. I see how my character grew. I see how the fact that I didn't give up and I kept going, I didn't let that shut me down and be like, forget it. I'm done with this industry. Y'all play too many games. I don't want to do this no more. You know what I mean? Like I look back now and I'm so grateful for those moments because here I am still talking about it. That was in my early 20s and I'm 43 now. And still those moments, those stories are in the fabric of who I am and who I've become that I lean on and I remember and that encourage me still today to not give up.
yeah. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. I, as you talk about this, of course, it reminds me of the lowest point in my own journey, which is the obvious one that people pick out of my book when they read my book or like when I get interviewed sometimes. You know, I had to take Lovesac through a complete chapter 11 bankruptcy reorg after the first few years of wild growth. And after having been on TV with Richard Branson, whole other story, which was humiliating, devastating, crushing, physically, emotionally, just destroying. But of course, gave us a rebirth. And I sometimes call it my MBA in a box because, I mean, you want to see what contracts really do when they're called, you know, to the table. You want to see what happens with loans and financings when they don't get paid back, when things go bad with leases that, you know, I've had to chop up fixtures in the middle of the night, close down stores that I just opened. It's humiliating, embarrassing, and run the company and keep everyone happy and excited as we're making it through. And I learned stuff about me, about my tenacity and grit, about business that I could not have learned in 40 years in business. And I, to this day, I meet people, you know, much older, more successful than me, I have along the way that frankly don't know as much as me about certain things because I've seen it
Mhm,
firsthand. You know, it's a bit like someone who goes to war. Like there is no substitute for that.
mhm.
They've seen things we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I would never wish it on me again.
Yeah.
But if I had to do it over, I don't know that I would skip it because I know things that you can't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's at the heart of this idea of being grateful for the problems you have. Because by the way, the ones you don't have, I'll tell you a problem that didn't happen for me was the end of Lovesac. That would
Mhm.
have been a different problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
The end. And so I'll take the bankruptcy. I'll take the toughest times and everything, by the way, that came with that.
Mhm.
So as you reflect on the growth that you experienced from those no's, and I'm sure you just shared one, but I'm sure there were 100 more, you know, hundreds more. I mean, that's the life of an actor and talented person. What what turned the corner for you? How did you parlay all of that into the success you're enjoying today? Or can you think of a turning point that kind of puts you on this path?
Yeah. Um, First, you got me thinking when you were like, "I'll tell you a problem I didn't have," and that's
Mm,
the
mm.
end of Love Side. A
Let's hear
problem
it.
that I didn't have was nobody wanting to buy a ticket to my show. I am so grateful that that's not a problem that I have. That I here I am touring 19 years in, and I still sell out shows.
Really?
Wild. Are you kidding me? People still want to hear from me? People still care? That blows my mind. And I had a moment on this tour, actually. I was in a venue in Austin, Texas, and it's this huge theater, the Moody Theater, and it's, the floor seats, then the balcony, the middle balcony, and then the top balcony. And I'm doing my sound check, and I'm looking at this front section, and the way they have it sectioned off, it's like these two squares of rows of seats right in front of me. And for a second, I just narrowed in, I zoned in, and I can only see this section. And there's maybe like 200 seats in this section. And I felt this immense gratitude. And I remember being that comic that was like, if I could sell out this section, like if this was the venue, I got this many people to buy a ticket to my show. Oh my gosh, this many people want to see me? I can sell this many tickets? Whoa. And I had this surreal moment of like being that person again of however many years ago and seeing the section and then zooming out and seeing this whole theater that is sold out multiple times, doing two shows, and just wild to me. So to think of a problem that I didn't have was people don't want to buy tickets, the end,
Mm.
But back to your question of a turning point, my YouTube video that blew up. I did a joke about getting my nails done,
Yeah.
and it was recorded at a comedy club here in LA. And they, at the time, this company paid different comedians $25 to come and do their 10-minute set or whatever.
Hmm.
So this is at a time when flip phones are happening, and they were like, "Okay, we're going to record your set, and people are going to be able to download a comedy clip onto their phone." And it was only for Verizon Wireless, okay? And for $1.99, they can pay to download a comedy clip onto their phone. So they were recording a bunch of comics and
Hmm.
putting them out so that Verizon customers could download onto their flip phone a little video that they would watch on that little square.
Yeah.
Then, maybe a few weeks later, I don't know how much later, this brand new thing called YouTube comes out. And they're like, "Well, who's going to pay $1.99 for a comedy clip when they can just watch it for free on this brand new thing called YouTube?" So they take all of these clips and they put them up on YouTube instead. I don't know why, but my clip went viral before that was even a term. That was something
Cool.
positive. And this was around the time where if you got an email from a friend and there was a video in it, you definitely watched it
Yeah.
because that was a new thing. You're like, "Wait,
And they
there's a
weren't trying to extract money from you back to Nigeria or something.
no, exactly." And there wasn't even commercials. There wasn't even, it was just a video in your email. And
Yeah.
so everybody started getting this video. And it's MySpace days. My MySpace page starts blowing up. People from all over the world are like, "Hey, when are you coming to perform in Australia? When are you coming to the Philippines? When are you coming to blah, 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 blah," fill in the blank.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I'm getting all these messages. Then I'm getting messages from network executives sending their assistant to come find me because nobody knew how to get
Wow.
hold of me. I didn't have an agent. So they're messaging me on MySpace and they're like, "Hey, I'm the assistant to so and so at CBS, at Fox, at NBC, at ABC, at blah, 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 blah." I started having all these meetings. Next thing you know, my life completely changed. And it's January of 2007 when this video starts going viral. By February, I have a new agent, a new manager. By March, I'm auditioning for Mad TV. By May, I'm already on the show. We're filming episodes.
Wow.
I start writing more material. And by the end of the year, I'm now touring as a comedian. So I went from like January of 2007 having nothing to my name, being on unemployment. My unemployment checks had run out. This YouTube video popping off to being on a hit television show called Mad TV and touring the country as a headlining comic. And that was the year that changed my life.
What year was that?
2007.
2007. And what year, as an example, was that experience you had with Kanye's show that canceled you?
Probably the year before.
Mm.
Because I lived in my friend's condo, and that all happened in her condo. I only lived with her for maybe like 2 years.
So here's an interesting thing to imagine. Had the Kanye show worked out, your part being kept, and maybe even continued on to a real thing, just to play that out,
Mm-hmm.
would you have bothered with a $25 go get from a little, video clip?
That's wild to think.
Right. And this is again why I just always, but you can't know at the time. You may want to know, you cannot know. And
Yeah.
so we have to try to be thankful for the problems we have, right? Because there are other problems. And one of the blessings of doing this podcast is I get to talk to some of the world's most successful people in every realm, like you. And one thing that is undeniable is that every one of these wildly successful people have problems, have had problems, continue to have problems, insecurities, difficulties, and then sometimes get sideswiped. One of my guests very recently diagnosed with cancer, and in the most serious way.
Mm.
I don't have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so my point of view on this whole, I don't know, topic of problems is like, that's the human condition. It's some kind of grand graphic equalizer, right? We're strong in these things. We're weak in these things. We got these problems, but not those problems. These sliders are up, those sliders are down. And if we're not careful, we want to yank down these certain sliders that are tough for us. Some other one's going to be up in its place, and it may not be the one that you'd wish for. So whether you believe in God or fate or cosmic energy, I have learned over the long arc to try to remember to be grateful for whatever problems I'm facing, because there are other ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's always somebody who has it worse. Well, at least it's not this, at least it's not that. And sometimes you don't even want to hear that. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I know I don't have that, but I have this and it's bothering me. It's,
Right.
it doesn't feel good. Even in those moments, to not even compare to like somebody else's issue, going back to like what I said in the beginning, is having hope that when you get to not the end of this problem, but when you get to a part of the problem that there's light at the end of the tunnel, when you get to that point, having that hope is such a powerful vehicle to keep you going, to keep moving towards that light, to not stay stagnant. Because think about being stagnant, that water that's stagnant, that's when the mosquitoes come, that's when the bacteria comes, that when it's not flowing water, you know what I mean? Like, keep moving, keep flowing. And I think when you're in the midst of a problem, it's hard to do that. But when you have hope that there's going to be purpose in this, you just keep moving, putting one foot in front of the other, even when you can't see the destination, where you're like, what am I even doing? What is this for? This is stupid. Just keep moving your feet. And then you start seeing that light and you're like, oh, wait, what if it's this? What if I'm doing it for this? And then all of a sudden this fire starts igniting in you. I don't know, man. It's powerful.
No, I think you're onto something. For me, that's where hope develops into faith. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is people, a common question I get that I don't always have a good answer for is what kept you going? Because Love Sack's been around a long time and we've been through every up and down. And we, by the way, still have a ton of opportunity ahead of us. Like I think we're going to double and triple this company. It's going to go on to be this legendary brand that's here for decades. That's what we're building. I'm super proud of it. But it's taken so long. You know, I'm 26 years in and it hasn't always been easy. People ask, how do you keep going? And as you're speaking, it reminds me that with so much now of this experience where insurmountable, terrible problems combined with terrible timing, the outside environment, stuff I can't control, the government, international monetary flows affecting my life.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, on the other side of it, just like being rejected by those furniture stores, just like being rejected by the shopping malls originally, I see the benefit and the happy outcome, sometimes years and years later. That hope grows into faith because not now it becomes a point where I don't just hope that there's some meaning to whatever it is I'm struggling with, but I know there will be because I've just seen this movie so many times. And so I can have faith in that thing,
Mhm.
you know, based on my previous experiences. And that's one of the benefits of just frankly growing older. You can't have deep experiences without time on your side, I
Yeah.
believe. And it's a blessing and a benefit. And you've probably come up with people who have completely washed out. You've probably come up with people who have gone on to play stadiums. But how cool is it that you can still be grateful even for
Yeah.
a small to medium sized venue, even
Yeah. Yeah.
because you've maintained that mindset?
Mhm. I mean, gratitude is the thing that really keeps me going. And when I'm struggling in whatever it is that I'm struggling with, mental health, um, feeling rejection, feeling overwhelmed, gratitude is where I come to. And I think about 5 things that I'm grateful for, and I'll say them out loud
Yes.
because when you hear yourself saying the things that you're grateful for, it's one thing to think it. That's step one, thinking it, changing your thoughts. Change your thought pattern, changing whatever it is you were just stressing about. Well, how am I going to do this? What about this? Like, oh, what if this? What if that? The what ifs? Ugh, killers. The what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
The what ifs, man. When you get yourself in a loop of what ifs, pause, switch to gratitude. All right, let me think of 5 things that I'm grateful for. And sure, you could just be like health. Okay, yeah, you could do that. But let's just pause. Let's just really think, what am I grateful for right now in this moment? Oh, I'm so grateful for my nanny because she doesn't just watch my daughter, she invests her whole self. She gives so much energy of herself in teaching my daughter, not just, nope, don't do that, but telling her, we don't do that because this and this. Let's try this instead, and teaching her. I'm so grateful that when I'm busy, when I'm on a Zoom call, when I'm on stage, that I have my nanny who's not just babysitting, but is giving her whole self to my daughter. I'm so grateful for that. And so I think of these things, then I say it out loud so that I
Just
can,
like that. Like, did you just give us an example
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as opposed to just saying, I'm grateful for my nanny? You take maybe even 30 seconds and explain that, unpack that out
Unpack
loud.
it out loud because
Mm.
I'm discovering things. I'm hearing it. And as I'm saying it, and I'm visualizing my nanny and how she does this, and then I'm thinking, thank God she doesn't just like watch her on her phone. What, you know what I mean? And just like, thank God she's not, oh my gosh. And I'm seeing it, and I start feeling more gratitude as I unpack it more. I feel more gratitude, and I say it and I hear it. And it's this big circle of gratitude coming through my body, right? And so I'm now
Okay.
elevating my vibration. I'm elevating my thoughts. I'm now putting out an energy of gratitude that attracts things of gratitude as opposed to
Yeah.
putting out anxiety and low vibration stuff, putting out fear, putting out anger, frustration. I'm putting out that low vibration stuff. I now just raise my vibration. I'm putting this out there. And now I'm bleeding into everyone around me this gratitude, this goodness, this light, this warmth. And I'm like bleeding this out. And that's attracting those things to now be like, well, what's over here? Let's come this way. Now you start attracting all these beautiful things towards you. But it's not constant all the time. It's one of those that needs a pause. Let me redirect. Hold on. What am I grateful for? This. Yeah. Yep. That feels good. I love that. And you're saying it out loud and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. And
That's
then
amazing.
sometimes I even take it a step further is you start thinking of something that you're grateful for. I need to call her. I need to call her and be like,
Right.
now I go into words of affirmation. Words
Yeah.
words of affirmation are my love language. They're so powerful when you can speak into someone's life and you don't know what they needed in that moment, what they needed to hear for their journey, for their story. I love words of affirmation to the point where even in my meet and greets, I'm meeting somebody for the first time who's a fan of my comedy. They either purchase a meet and greet ticket or they want a meet and greet, and here they are standing in front of me, and this is their moment. I'm present with them in this moment, but I'm also listening. I'm listening to, for me, I'm listening to God. And I'm listening to God speak to me. And what does that look like when God speaks to me? I'll get like pictures in my mind or in my heart. And an example of that is I'm talking to this couple and they're maybe in their like late 50s, early 60s. And I feel warmth from the guy. Like he feels like a good dude. That's all I feel. I'm like, he feels like a good dude. And then I hear in my brain, he's a good dad. I don't know
Hmm.
this guy. I just shook his hand 5 seconds ago, but I
Hmm.
hear he's a good dad. And so I just start saying what I hear and feel. And I'm like, you're a good dude. You give good vibes. And it's fine. I'm like, you give good vibes. You're a good dude. And I said, you know what? I bet you're a good dad. And then his wife goes, he is a good dad. And I'm like, I feel that from you. You just feel like a good dad. And that's all that it was. And then we take our picture. So nice to meet you. Take care. Thank you for coming to my show. Bye. I don't know what that person needed to hear in their journey, in their story, in their life. All I know is what I felt and what I heard. And I took the next step of saying it out loud because it was good. It's just sharing
Wow.
goodness. Let me just share good with you.
That's so beautiful. And I think, first of all, there's so much to unpack from everything you just said, pulling, pivoting from a state of chaos, confusion, anger, disappointment, frustration to gratitude, through gratitude, moving into action, as simple as a text, a phone call, a compliment, a kind word to somebody else. These are acts of service.
Mhm.
And I think we're too quick to think like, oh, I got to go like fill up sandbags and protect my neighbor's backyard in the time of flood is, service. But like just being kind to someone and being in a place where, by the way, that kindness comes naturally because you've set yourself up spiritually or however else you want to characterize it to vibrate at that level, to show up at that level. Man, you are living a full life and a successful life, and you're influencing others for good. And these are some of the things that I try to remind myself. You talk about, um, words of affirmation. I talk about it a lot on this podcast. I have a morning mantra. I say things like this to myself, right? I will aim to influence people for good. And I'm saying this to myself every morning.
Mm.
And in hopes that it
Mm.
infiltrates my behavior and trying to get myself on that plane, listing gratitude, in my case, on my knees through prayer as out loud if I can, depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. And there's so many forms. That's the funny thing. These things are eternal. These principles are eternal. They extend and permeate pretty much all religion, spiritual practices, self-help. We could get into the whole self-help, but you'll find these parallels. And I find them over and over again with wildly successful people. So I'm really grateful to you for articulating that. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Has it become muscle memory for you? So like this ability to feel frustrated or whatever on tilt, and you're able to pivot to gratitude. Is that muscle memory for you, or does it take some discipline, or do we sometimes forget to go there? Like, tell me what that is for you.
It's yes and. It's all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
When you're actively going to the gym and you're exercising, you feel good, you're in your routine, it's happening. You don't even realize it. You're fit, you're healthy, you're happening. Next thing you know, something happens the next day. You couldn't make it to the gym. And then the day after that, well, I'm tired for the thing that happened yesterday. And then the day after
Yeah.
that, whatever. And then like a week and a half goes by
Yeah.
and you haven't gone to the gym. And well, now it's a little bit comfortable. Like, I'm gonna wake up early and go to the gym. It's that whole thing. It's the same thing with any practice. And gratitude is one of those things. So when I'm actively practicing, it's muscle memory. And then there's times where I have anxiety, I have something that's weighing me down, and I completely forget about gratitude as a tool, as a medicine. I completely forget about it because I'm sitting in complaining. I'm sitting in wallowing. I'm sitting in, let me find somebody who could just feel bad for me. I'm sitting in, I'm just sad right now. I need to go lay down. I'm tired. I'm just gonna lay down. Let me just, you know what I mean? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just tired. A few days go by and friends notice and they're like, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on?" I'm just tired. And I sit in that. And then all of a sudden, I'll remember, wait, this isn't me. Gratitude. Hold on. And then I start going back into my practice. I start lifting those gratitude weights again.
Yeah.
And hold on. Wait a minute. All right, we're coming back. I feel it. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving. So it's yes and. It's all the things. When I'm in
Yeah.
practice, it's muscle memory. When I'm not, I'm struggling and it's
I'm
hard.
so grateful to you for sharing that, because I don't think there's a human on earth that can identify with that. But we can develop muscle memory for things that make it easier and more common, right? And my guess is that you've done, as you describe, exactly that, where in the beginning it was probably a new practice that you picked up somewhere from some book or some person, or through your own intuition,
Mhm.
to do these things. But isn't it wild that we can even get good at it and then fall out of practice, just like the gym? We can be
Yeah.
in the zone, and then so first of all, when you've recognized that you're kind of in that worst place, not the ideal
Mhm.
place mentally, spiritually, physically, whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, are you hard on yourself? Do you, like you said, you mentioned you sit in it. What does that mean for you? And like, is there a way that we can either need to embrace those moments at times, or short circuit them to get out of them? Like, any advice you have or experience you have in navigating those times? Because I think a lot of people can be both aware and apathetic at the same time. So what is it that gets us out?
Well, now this is what's interesting is now I'm at an age where hormones also come into play.
Okay, there's that.
So where it's like, okay, there's a mental thing, let's snap out of it, let's use our tools, climb out of this rut, and we're good. And then now there's an added layer of, okay, I did my tool thing and I'm not good. Okay, hormones are doing a thing. I'm 43, what those all those kinds of things. So it's now learning all these other tools. So I say that because I don't want it to seem like, oh, well, this tool doesn't work for me because I still feel depressed. I still feel sad. I still feel, girl, get your hormones checked just in case. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great tool to have in our tool
Right.
belt. It's free. You don't need a prescription for it.
Yeah.
You don't need health insurance for it. It's right here in your tool belt. You just use it when you need it.
By the
And
way, therapy. So many people are unwilling. Not that this is you. I'm saying there's so many things available to us that we are afraid of because of our own ego, pride, all that stuff.
yeah.
You know, even things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. So I would say, like, you had asked, like, am I hard on myself when I'm in these? I sometimes am hard on
Hmm.
myself. Like, um, why am I feeling this way? Why am I comparing myself? I know better than this, and then I still do it. Why am I not exercising? Why am I not reading? How come I haven't rescheduled that class? How come I have? And then I sit there and I'm hard on myself. Instead of
Hmm.
doing something about it, I'm like, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you not doing this? Ugh." And I do that for a while.
Yeah.
And, I think accountability is a big one. And for me, that's my husband, who can usually see when I'm not myself, when I'm not at my best, and he'll help me by holding up a mirror,
Hmm.
figuratively, being like, "Hey."
Hopefully not literally.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
going to
no.
go.
Yeah, but being like, "Hey, you see what's going on? You
Uh,
see how what is this? How can I help you? What do you need?" In those moments, and then that's usually a sign to me that I've let it gone too far. I've been sitting this for too long, and be like, "You know what? Hold on. I know how to do this. Let me get my journal back out. Let me start my journaling. Let me get back on, my supplements that are helping my gut health, my gut microbiome. I haven't been taking my supplements. It's usually when one part of me is a mess, all parts of me are a mess. So
totally.
if my room is messy, like my makeup area, everything's mess, unorganized, there's stuff everywhere, guarantee you I'm probably also not working out. I'm
Hmm.
probably not reading. I'm probably not doing anything helpful, because when one part of me is messy, it's a sign that I'm not in alignment. I'm not I need to okay, hold on. I was I was wilding out for a minute, just letting my feelings feel. Let me just bring it back. Let me get cleaned up. Let me just hold on. Let me take a spiritual shower, so to speak. Let me just start over. Fresh new day. Okay, let's go. And that's all my tools, my gratitude, my journaling, my gut health, getting all of that, reading a book, making a phone call to practice words of affirmation, because it helps me get my thoughts off of my own problems and let me call a friend and say, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on in your life?" And they're start telling me about what's going on in their life. And I'm taking my mind off of my own issues to put my mind on their issues and be like, "Oh, well, have you thought of this? Maybe try doing this."
Yeah.
You know, those
So
are
it's doing. So, what's cool about this is, if I hear you right, you know, because I think everyone experiences these things. I'm really grateful to you for being vulnerable and just honest about it. And the first little Shawnism in my book, right? Because I tried to write it this way. Like, it's our whole story at Lovesac. It's cool. Let me save you 25 years. But I break it down in these 25 little lessons from the mistakes and miracles. Shawnism number one, just do something.
hmm,
Right. In my case, I got off the couch, made a beanbag. People liked it. But even on the micro level, even on the daily level, clean up your makeup counter, make your bed, break out that journal. One leads to another, leads to another. And in the course of a day or a week, all of a sudden you're back on track. And I think, who can't? Who listening can't identify with that? But it takes that thing, maybe a
mhm,
couple things, maybe a little winning streak. And so I think there's a time to be hard on ourselves, call ourselves out. Come on, you pansy, get up out there,
mhm.
go do something physical,
Yeah.
whatever it is for you that gets you pick one. By the way, you listed like a dozen things at least, or half a dozen, whatever, that play into this best self of Anjelah. Just do one of those. And then it might turn to 2, and then it might turn to 3. And before you know it, you're back in the zone for a week, a month, a year, whatever. And it just requires doing something. And that can be so hard, especially when, we're battling our own laziness, our own minds, our own defeatist attitudes, like I'll never be as skinny as whatever. I just,
Mhm.
these things. But I just give that advice. Shawnism number 1, just do something, anything, one of the things. And it's amazing. The art of the start, right? It's amazing if you can just get started. Like lifting weights. Like I've learned so many times, have faith in that. Like if I just go do one dumb exercise and I'm like, I'm just going to do the one. I'm literally just going to go to the gym and just do some curls and I'm going to leave. First of all, that's easy to do. Okay, I can get myself to do that. Takes like literally a couple minutes. You and I both know I'm never going to end up turning around and leaving in 2 minutes. So just convince yourself I'm just going to go do one thing. And by the way, that one thing almost always turns into all the things. And then we feel great.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think a little thing too, to like, if you're listening right now, one little thing is make your bed.
Yeah,
Did you not make your
right.
bed today? And
Yeah.
that one's a sign for me when I know my insides are messy, is if it's the afternoon, the end of the day, I go to my room and I realize I never made my bed. I'm so disappointed. And I'm like, oh, I didn't make my bed. Where was my brain? What am I thinking? What is going on? Because something about making your bed, having that fresh, clean room when you walk into your room and it's clean, when you get ready to go to bed at night and you have a fresh start of your bed, like it's made, it's not just messy, you're jumping back into messy. I don't know, something about it doesn't feel right. So I know a sign for me is if I haven't been making my bed, I know I'm messy inside.
I
And
love that.
my brain's everywhere because I didn't make my bed.
And by the way, when you do, then find the gumption to make your bed, even late in the day or on the third day.
Mhm.
Celebrate it. That's
Yeah.
like, be hard on yourself and be easy on yourself. Like, hey, I made my bed. And then, by the way, you'll probably feel like doing the next thing and the next thing, and now, bam, you're back on.
Mhm. I love that. Celebrate it.
Yeah.
Celebrate your small wins. It's exciting.
Um, so I have to ask, has there ever been a moment in your long career where you realized, you know what, these are good problems to have, where you've had somehow the perspective gained that you've been able to recognize I'm in a problem, and maybe it's even a good thing, or maybe where your hope, as you described it, has developed into some kind of faith in an outcome.
Hmm. Do you have an example from your life that maybe would inspire?
Well, something I reflect on, right now we're in a really tough time for like the home category. Everyone is buying furniture during COVID, and it's kind of been a big pullback for like 3 years now. And Lovesac's done well, better than most. But as we're making plans and always, struggling to wrestle with tariffs or wrestle with this or wrestle with the economy, I have to remind myself, by the way, all of my competitors whose ads I see on Instagram that look so shiny and they're doing great, they're wrestling with these same problems. And by
Mhm.
the way, they don't have my stamina. That I
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
They don't have my team. I have my team. I was like, I have to remind myself that these problems I have, so do the others. And all I need to, it's like, it's like they say, outrunning a bear. I don't need to be the fastest runner. I just need to be faster than you.
Yeah.
And so, you don't need to be the funniest comic. You just got to be maybe funnier than the one that went right before you, or whatever.
Um, so what comes to mind after hearing that is I don't like disappointing people. So early in my career, when people would come to my show, if I got any kind of negative feedback, I was so sad. I was devastated because I'm doing a show, everybody's laughing, so I'm assuming, "Oh, we all had a great time. Thanks for coming. Bye." And then I'll get a DM from somebody that has something not nice to say about the show,
Mm. Yeah.
and it would crush me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do different things to try to make myself feel better, and, one of the things that I did, one, I stopped reading certain comments,
Good.
but, I remember I was going through it, I had read some reviews of my show, and they were not great, and I remember feeling, like, so devastated that people were, not happy with my show, and so what I did was I went to, I think it was, like, Live Nation or whatever, and I went to other artists to read their reviews, and I went to Kevin Hart's page, who is the at this time, the number 1
Yeah, by far.
comedian, movie star, everything, Kevin Hart, and I go to his page and I look at his reviews. He has the same thing. Somebody was disappointed. Nah, it wasn't that funny to me. I didn't like it.
Mhm.
I thought he was funny. I went to his last show. His last show was funnier. It's not even that funny anymore. I don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
get the hype. Then I go to other comedians, other performers, and they all have the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a moment for me that I wasn't celebrating that this person was getting negative feedback.
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
was I was taking comfort in I'm not alone. This is not unusual. The fact that this person was disappointed is okay because every I don't love every movie I see. I don't love every TV show I see. I don't love every comedy show I see. Just because the person next to me laughing hysterically and I'm like, I don't really like that one."
That is such a healthy way to view it and such a cool tactic that you shared. I think also, like you said, you might know that at the first couple of characters that are revealed in a DM, let's pick, or some comment or tweet or who knows what, that it's going to be bad. You have the choice to not look. You have the choice to live in blissful ignorance
Mhm.
and go about your life and enjoy your afternoon because
Mhm.
you just put out a good, like, I think sometimes we, in the spirit of trying to be like open and learning and willing to hear criticism, but if there's a dead body over there, you don't have to go look.
Mhm.
You can
Mhm.
choose you can choose to not look, right? And report it to the authorities, whatever. But like we can choose to not look. We can choose to live in some ignorance sometimes, depending on, by the way, where we're at. If we're at a point where we feel strong and we feel, capable and willing and open to hearing criticism and hopefully learning from it, great.
Yeah.
But if we're not, it's like, be easier on yourself. Just be easier on yourself sometimes, And to your point, if when we do compare, and that's the thing, man. And by the way, Kevin Hart, let's pick on Kevin Hart. He's got the same sliders. He is wrestling with things that you or I can't possibly know of. And I don't even know Kevin,
Mhm.
but I know what I just said is true because Kevin is a human.
Mhm.
And I think we just have to recognize that it doesn't look equal to us. Our problems are worse. My life is uglier. I'm, you know, whatever. But I'm kind of a believer that it is this great graphic equalizer, but it's up to us to take control of that board, nudge things up and down. And as you described so deftly in this podcast, we have ways of doing that. And that's the beauty of even like this podcast is just free. You can literally listen, right, to some of the most successful people in the world. Uh, and gain advice from them. What is this crazy time we live in? People
Yeah.
just have to muscle through. Maybe they could find a book on the topic. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm grateful to you for sharing. Look, in the spirit of let me save you 25 years, you've had this long career just like I have. Any last word of wisdom you'd give to, yourself starting out, someone who has aspirations to do big things, whether in the land of comedy and acting, whether in life in general, that you wish that someone had, you wish somehow you would have heard 25 years ago, save you a chunk off your journey?
My advice to people is whatever industry you're in, doesn't even matter. Even if you're a stay-at-home dad, mom, whatever, my advice is the same. Do you, and do you well. There's only one you. There's other people that may look like you. They may have a similar personality, but they're not you. They don't have your trauma. They don't have your childhood. They don't have your mistakes that you've made. They don't have the lessons you've learned. They don't have the blessings that you've been blessed with. They don't have all the things that make you you. You are so unique. Your voice is only yours. So when you show up in that boardroom meeting, when you show up at that audition, when you show up at the PTA meeting, when you show up at whatever it is that you're showing up to, show up as you and show up well to the best of your ability that you are capable of. Not trying to be that other mom over there who seems like she's got it together and she wears these, fancy outfits, whatever. Not trying to be that girl in the audition who she always books everything. I see her on TV all the time. Not trying to be her. Not trying to be the guy who always seems to be getting the raise. Let me try to act like him and talk like him. Let me try to do him. No. Do you, and do you well to the best of your ability. Do you, because there's only one you.
Sage advice. And by the way, in my observation, people will be attracted to exactly that. Success will be attracted to exactly that. The authenticity and power of being yourself and showing up strong. Be sure to follow Anjelah. Wow. Be sure to follow Anjelah on Twitter and Instagram at Anjelah, Anjelah. Anjelah Johnson. You can listen to her hilarious podcast, Funjelah, on all podcast platforms. And by the way, Anjelah's currently on her family reunion stand-up comedy tour all over the US with over 100 shows. I will be going live. She'll be more than likely in your area, so check her out. Tickets are available on her website, anjelah.com. Thank you so much to the retired Raiderette, the nonchalant nail lady, the builder of the Bon Qui brand herself, Anjelah Johnson-Reyes.
Thank you.
And remember this, at the end of the day, every problem comes with its own price tag. So before you ever wish for someone else's, remember that yours might just be the bargain. This just might save you a chunk off your own 25-year journey. Thank you.
Once a year to take my friends away should not be the budget for your bike across America.
TikTok has become an aggregator for some of the dumbest human actions.